The city lights blurred in the rain as Officer Daniel drove down the lonely highway, lost in thought. It had been 3 years since he lost Rex, his partner, his best friend. They said the explosion left no survivors, but Daniel never truly believed it. Suddenly, headlights caught something in the distance, a lone German shepherd standing in the middle of the road. The dog didn't run. He just stared. Daniel slowed, heart pounding, and stepped out. The moment their eyes met, the dog whimpered. That same trembling sound Daniel had once heard every morning before patrol. His voice broke as he whispered, "Rex?" The dog froze, tail twitching, then sprinted toward him. The impossible reunion had just begun. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. The night stretched endlessly across the empty highway, broken only by the steady hum of Officer Daniel's patrol car. His hands rested on the steering wheel, but his mind was far away, somewhere buried in the past. 3 years had passed since that night. The mission gone wrong, the explosion, and the moment his K9 partner, Rex, vanished into the chaos. They never found his body. Daniel had told everyone Rex was gone, but deep down, he never truly believed it. The radio crackled with static, but Daniel barely noticed. The memories came back in flashes. Rex barking through smoke, refusing to leave his side, his loyal eyes disappearing into the dark. Since that day, Daniel had changed. The laughter, the energy, all gone. What remained was silence. And guilt. Tonight's patrol was supposed to be routine. But as the headlights swept across the lonely road, Daniel couldn't shake the feeling that something was different, that fate was about to stir again. He sighed, glancing at the passenger seat where Rex used to sit. "Miss you, buddy," he whispered then. From the distance ahead, a faint shadow moved across the road, and Daniel's world was about to change forever. The rhythmic hum of the tires broke as Daniel slowed near an intersection. Something large stood in the road ahead. His headlights illuminated a German shepherd, tall, alert, and staring straight at him. Daniel's pulse quickened. The dog didn't flinch at the light or the sound of the engine. It just stood there, waiting. He honked once. Nothing. The dog barked sharply, then took a few steps forward, eyes locked on him. Daniel pulled over and opened the door cautiously. "Hey boy, easy now," he said, voice soft. But as soon as he spoke, the shepherd's ears twitched and his expression changed. His tail lowered, not in fear, but in recognition. Daniel stepped closer, the cold air cutting through the silence. The dog's chest rose and fell rapidly, his gaze trembling with emotion. "You look just like him," Daniel whispered. The shepherd whimpered, a sound that hit Daniel like a punch to the chest. That same tone, that same voice he'd heard countless times before missions. Suddenly, the dog ran toward him, stopping inches away, tail wagging hesitantly. He didn't bark, didn't growl, just stared, eyes shining with something Daniel hadn't seen in years. That hope. In that moment, the impossible began to feel real. Daniel's breath came shallow as he crouched down, eyes locked on the German shepherd standing only inches away. The dog's chest heaved rapidly, tail trembling. "Rex," Daniel whispered, almost afraid to say the name out loud. For a moment, silence, just the wind brushing through the trees. Then, the dog's ears twitched. His body stiffened. "Rex," Daniel said again, firmer this time, voice cracking. The shepherd whimpered, then took a single cautious step forward. And another. Suddenly, with a sound halfway between a cry and a bark, he leapt into Daniel's arms, whining uncontrollably. Daniel froze, emotion choking him. The familiar weight, the smell of his fur, that same scar behind the left ear, it was him. "Oh my God," Daniel gasped, voice breaking. "You're alive." Rex licked his face again and again, tail wagging wildly now, unable to contain his joy. Daniel's knees gave out, and he sank to the ground, holding his partner close. Tears filled his eyes. The impossible had just become real. Then he noticed it, the old, battered collar around Rex's neck. The metal tag, scratched and faded, still read the same words he thought he'd never see again. K9 Unit, Officer Daniel Reed. Rex had come home. Against every odd, he had found his way back. Daniel sat in the small farmhouse kitchen, steam curling from the mug in his hands. Across the table sat an elderly farmer named Thomas, his eyes kind but tired. Outside the window, Rex played in the yard, tail wagging, as if he'd never been away. Thomas spoke slowly. Found him limping near the river after the flood. He was half-starved, bleeding bad. I didn't know he was a police dog back then, just a brave soul who wouldn't give up. Daniel listened in silence, heart tight. The farmer continued, voice heavy with memory. When the floods hit our village last spring, that dog saved more lives than any man. He pulled kids out of the water, barked till we found the trapped, never left our side. Through the window, Daniel watched Rex trotting along the fence line, stopping every few seconds to stare toward the highway. He did that every night, Thomas said softly. Sat there for hours, looking down the road like he was waiting for someone. Daniel's throat tightened. He was waiting for me, he whispered. Thomas nodded. I reckon he was. The truth hit hard. For 3 long years, Rex hadn't forgotten. Through pain, storms, and loneliness, he'd held on to one thing only. Hope that his handler was still out there, and somehow, against all odds, fate had led him home again. 2 weeks later, Daniel stood beside Rex in the training yard, the morning air crisp with anticipation. Officers gathered around, whispering skeptically, "That's the lost K9? 3 years out of service." One muttered. Daniel ignored them, his gaze fixed on his old partner. Rex sat perfectly still, eyes sharp, awaiting command, like he'd never missed a day. "All right, boy," Daniel said softly. "Let's show them who you are." The whistle blew, and the test began. Rex shot forward, weaving through obstacles with flawless precision. He leapt fences, tracked scents, and responded to every command like muscle memory. The trainers exchanged stunned looks. This was no rusty, retired dog. This was a soldier reborn, but the real test came days later, during a high-stakes drug bust at an abandoned warehouse. The team moved in quietly, until Rex suddenly froze, ears erect. He barked once, low and deliberate. Daniel's instincts flared. "Hold position," he ordered. Seconds later, a hidden door burst open. Armed suspect, weapon drawn. Before anyone could react, Rex lunged, tackling the man to the ground and disarming him in seconds. The room erupted with shouts. But Daniel only saw his partner, standing tall, chest heaving. Eyes locked on him with that same fierce loyalty. He knelt beside Rex, patting his neck with pride. "Still got it, huh?" Rex barked once, tail wagging. 3 years gone, but their bond had never broken. A month later, the police department hosted a special ceremony in the town square. Reporters crowded the steps, cameras flashing as citizens gathered to see the miracle everyone had been talking about. The K9 who found his way home after 3 years. Officer Daniel stood at the podium, Rex sitting proudly beside him, chest puffed and eyes bright. The police chief handed Daniel a medal, then knelt to clip a smaller one to Rex's collar. "For bravery, loyalty, and an unbreakable bond," the chief said, his voice thick with emotion. The crowd erupted in applause, but Daniel couldn't speak for a moment. His throat tightened, memories rushing back of the night he lost Rex, and the night he found him again. Finally, he knelt beside his partner and whispered, "You never gave up on me, did you?" Rex tilted his head, then pressed his forehead against Daniel's chest, the same gesture he used to give before every mission. The crowd went silent, watching a moment that spoke louder than any words. Reporters later called it the reunion that broke the internet. But for Daniel, it wasn't about fame or medals. It was about faith and a dog's love that outlasted time, distance, and pain. As the ceremony ended, Daniel smiled, patting Rex's collar gently. "You're home now, partner," he said. Rex wagged his tail once, eyes gleaming. For the first time in years, both man and dog finally felt whole again.